sometimes we need just to put a little drop of our love inside of the person. Sometimes this is a miracle. I can say myself this, I can heal people now. Just like, okay, I just do my best, and
love.
And yeah, love will do everything.
The rest. This is part 2 of my interview with Mukti, Michael Buck, and his senior teacher, Serafima, from Vedic Thai Massage. And this is just a love-in. You know, Mukti and Serafima and I, we get into some of the heart and what makes Thai massage such an incredibly potent practice, why it's so effective, how to deal with any issues, any kind of quote-unquote mistakes that may come up in your practice, and so much more. And all of that is coming right up. Any stories of your own treating clients, or student stories, or just anything that stands out that says, hey, this is a pretty inspiring thing that I'd like to share?
Appreciative, for lack of a better word, of the emotional changes that a person goes through, and with after receiving an art, and sometimes how quickly it occurs too. We offer something called puja at the beginning of the session, where we're basically just resting our hands on somebody's belly. I don't know if you can see that picture right there at all, and it's just amazing. Of course, there's a dozen details that go along with that position, but to see the person just suddenly have an emotional release where they're weeping, essentially, and then furthermore to really ask you not to do anything else but to stay in that position, even though your hand is doing nothing, and you're just resting your hand on the belly. They're paying you handsomely, so to speak. They ask you just to stay there, and you're curious as to what is that. That's part of the mystery. But I believe it's because you're helping a person become centered. They're realizing that, trying to figure out romance and all those complexities, and finance or emotionality or spirituality or anything that this world requires, to try and figure it out exclusively from the cerebral area is only playing with half a deck of cards, so to speak. Right. We have to get down into the body, and the belly being, of course, the center between feet representing earth and the cranium representing heaven. Where would the center be? The center would be the belly. It's curious that, according to Zachariah Sitchin, this etymologist, the English word navel has its root in the Sanskrit word nabhar, and nabhar means bright, shining stone that remedies and solves. So this is where we like to bring people's consciousness into, and other Asian body works are also moving in that direction too during the session, to bring the person's consciousness back into their center, into our core. But we find that really remarkable that happens,
Yeah.
And then I do research, and you find out that in karate, for example, kicks and punches are thrown from the belly, and in Japanese theater, the audience relishes when a person, an actor, turns on stage, because they see them turning from their belly. The same thing with dance, classical dance, and calligraphy, tea ceremonies, all of these arts, they're all coming from the belly. So to me, I just wanted to comment briefly on, we find that remarkable that so much emotion is released with this art very quickly.
Right. I mean, actually, I think it was Deepak Chopra who talks about, I think it's well known that our brain, our guts are kind of like thought of as our second brain. Mm-hmm. But Deepak Chopra, I think he actually talks about how it's our primary brain. And what is mind? We have our mind that we can speak the language that we speak, whether it's English or Russian or whatever it is that's in our head, but we have just as much mind literally in other parts of our body, and definitely in our center, in our core, in our stomach and abdomen areas. And from a biological kind of evolutionary point of view, I mean, the amount of consciousness that's involved in digesting food and making all of that happen to keep us healthy. I mean, that has to happen first before we can think. And it's because of improvements, I think, in the quality of food that has made digesting easier, that's allowed, the thinking mind to kind of flourish more in more recent, thousands of years kind of thing, but for sure. So emotions and stress and mind in the gut and in the belly, I think absolutely it makes sense that there could be such profound healing by bringing awareness to that centering place, for sure.
And the technique that I'm presenting for myself anyway, I'm having a lot of results, good positive results with migraines, for example, by working on the feet. And so there's a wonderful example that we learned with Ohashi at the Ohashi Institute, where we attended school one day and he asked everybody in class to find a partner, of course, but then to find a 3-inch segment anywhere on the body that you wanted to work on. So some people found 3-inch segment here, 3-inch segment on the leg, 3-inch segment on the back, on the arm. And the instructions from the teacher were to remain in that area and treat it for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And after, it was quite a discipline, because the purpose of that discipline was to experience the rest of the body from that 3-inch segment of real estate. And then when the theory became very elegant, because we came to understand that there are 16 or 14 or 12 major meridians in the body, distilled down from 72,000, whatever that might mean. But the truth of the matter is there's only one. Because there's 12 different names, there are 14 different names, but there's only one meridian. Consciousness is flowing through all of them. And so we can essentially treat any place on the body and know that we're treating other places. And that same information now is being discovered, as you probably know, with the world of fascia, all of this fascia studying going on.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they're discovering that any place you work on the body, those messages are being transmitted to other places also. So how exciting is that? And that theory was also found in meridian therapy a long time ago, too.
Right, I love that. The story, what I always like to say, like my aha moment, I mean, there was one specific move, I guess, like working on Gulf of Marma on the that's just above the malleolus on the edge, just pressing and resonating and spending time there, and then just feeling like this ripple effect that goes on through the whole body. And then having a daughter who, like 10 years into my practice is when I had a daughter, and getting to see how she's learning things right from the very beginning. And it's like that classic song of like head, shoulders, knees, and toes that we teach our kids at the start, and it's like, okay, it's a great song, but we are teaching, this idea that there's a separation. If you're saying there's a head, shoulder, knees, and toes, then there has to be a division, whereas internally the body never really learned it that way. So it's very profound when you realize that, and then you practice from that place. And I just love what you were sharing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we just celebrate this gift that we've been given, and just keep going strong and helping as many people as we can. And physically, yes, there may be some challenges, but at least emotionally, spiritually, you feel 100% golden. Right. After every day, after every session. Yeah.
Beautiful. What do you think, Serafima? Anything else you want to share or add?
I have a wonderful story because I even hardly believed in it, because I have a 75 years old grandma, and she's really conservative about the hospitals and our medicine. But anyway, she's keep going to the hospital. And 1 year ago, she had a really, I don't know, it wasn't an injury, actually what it was, but she hardly walked. She said, she called me, and she didn't know what to do. I came to her, I visited her, and just grandma, just tell me what's happening, because we are living in different cities, and it was only one chance to get her only once a year. And I just sit down, I just ask her to sit down and say, just tell me what's happening. And she said, I was in the hospital a couple of times, and medicine didn't help me. They tried to make a lot of diagnoses to my knee, trying to give me lots of pills from nothing, because they actually didn't know what it was. And at the end of her story, they just put the diagnosis like a septogram. That's it. And she had she started to feel herself really badly, because her kidneys and liver started to feel really bad because of lots of pills. And she said, I don't know what to do, because I can't take pills anymore, because my body is just ruining itself. I said, okay, just sit down. We have Jnana Marma. Everyone knows it. And from Thai techniques and knowing Ayurvedic Marma therapy, I just work a little bit on her knee, just a little, because it was really hard to touch her, because she said, it's just discomfort, it's pain. I said, okay. It was so light. I just make a really light work on her knee, just a little bit on her ankle, and just a little bit just higher on her hip. That's it. Maybe 5 or 7 minutes. I said, okay, let it be. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. She just 10 seconds after, she just stand up from the sofa and walk. And she's still walking. She keep going to work. I don't know. It was just the knowledge of loving person consciously. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just don't need knowledge about muscles, anatomy, some kind of biological stuff and electricity in our brain. Sometimes we need just to put a little drop of our loving inside of the person. Sometimes this is a miracle. I can say myself this, I can heal people now. It's like, okay, I just do my best, and
Love.
And yeah, love will do everything.
The rest. Oh my gosh.
And this is, I'm so sorry. And this is the only one suggestion to all people who are making massage for clients. Do the same with each. And we're trying to put this knowledge into the student's head. That's just try to share yourself. You can get something until you will share.
Well, as Guy knows, it's inevitable during a class that the question of contraindications comes up.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
The question of, what do you do with hyperplasia? What do you do with, bursitis or frozen shoulder? And so, of course, we say, interview helps at the beginning, also your intake form, but we can't rely on them entirely, those two forms. I think they're called Setsu Shin and Shiatsu, the interview part, listening to the quality of voice and things. But we can't rely on those entirely, because inevitably they may have rode their bike into a tree at the age of 7, and they simply didn't remember that. But we need to know that as therapists. So I wrote an essay, and it was entitled Mistakes, and what to do about the spirit of making mistakes. Not necessarily making a mistake, but the spirit of potentially making one.
Okay.
And what I came up with was not so satisfying for anybody, or at least that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And had the essay is a page and a half long, but it took me 4 days to write it, because I kept coming up with all you need is, as a successful therapist, is good love and good intention. And ultimately the students get it, because, we have a variety of other high technological things we can go to. But ultimately, there's nobody you or I know that is free from making mistakes. Our attorney, our mechanic, our landscaper, our house cleaner, you name it. Everybody is susceptible to making mistakes. But now I feel very confident that the ultimate insurance is is love and good intention. And I don't know, maybe you have a better idea you want to suggest for how to deal with making mistakes during the session.
I mean, what I would say is I can't help but just smile with what you're saying. I don't have anything more really to add to that, and except that because we make mistakes, and we all know that we make mistakes, then it's by understanding that we can also give ourselves permission to forgive, and that creates the channel for that love to flow through us, I think, that much more. So, I mean, I just think about myself, and just you mentioned the mechanic who makes mistakes. I'm like, actually, I'm the one who made the mistake in waiting too long to bring my car to the mechanic this morning, where I had a brake issue, and if I would have brought it 3 weeks ago when he actually said that I should bring it, then it might have cost me less money. And so I was kind of beating myself up on it, and it's like you just feel how that energy affects you. And especially when you get caught in it and you can't forgive yourself. And it's just having you talk about it. And I think that's just one of the beautiful things about people and why we need each other, because you saying that, it's like, I forgive myself,
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, and then we can, by forgiving ourselves, we make room for the love to flow, and then we can really make something powerful out of it.
We have a couple techniques also that, we teach also. And one of them is, of course, is always proceed from gentleness initially to the desired firmness, and not vice versa. We use the metaphor, you can always add more sugar to your tea, but you certainly can't take it out of the tea once it's in there.
Right.
So that's one of the precautions. And there's a couple of others that I've designed. One is called IID. That's an acronym for initially whatever you're compressing or passing, or have your first one be investigative, have the second pass be introductory, and then have your third one be discovery. So IID. So there's a few methods, but even those, they're kind of weak unless there's love and good intention there also. You need that consciousness.
Right, you're right.
Yeah, even in Thailand, we see that some of the Thai therapists are just, ripping through the session like there's some kind of formula which guarantees them from not making mistakes. But better they be, more conscious, and so thank goodness we have that in Thailand, that highly spiritualized culture too. Mm-hmm. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's maybe just simple thing, but just let yourself be free from making mistakes, and don't focus on process of making mistakes, because lots of students who are from the beginning, they're just thinking, oh my God, what if I will make this mistake? Oh, I don't want to make mistakes. Oh, I'm so unconfident. But just let yourself be free of that, because anyway you will do something, because your consciousness was somewhere and you just forget to bring it back. And so we just let ourselves be free of everything.
Mm-hmm. Be confident.
And confident, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Get with a good teacher.
With the help of a good teacher. Yeah. Love it.
That question comes up in class a lot too. Forgive me, did you want to say something?
I mean, I did want to just add, I love to hear your twist on, those two, the IID and the sugar, being able to add more sugar. My really, I find the essence of how I teach, it really all comes down to this one sentence of how slow can you go? How high can you fly? That's what I say. So essentially, the more that you can ease into whatever it is that you're doing, the better it's going to be. And then basically defining what does it mean to ease in, and this always starting from that lighter place and then progressing from there.
There was one school in Thailand, I forget which one, I attended 5 different ones. One of them was, I remember, I don't know which one it was, but it was painted on the walls that the subtle way is best. The subtle way is best. Mm-hmm. And that the school had you're strongly encouraged to add your own creative energy to the session, which is always very encouraging for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But the subtle way is best. So we have different methods. I've designed a few methods. There's one Asian interpretation that there's always 4 levels that you can proceed at. You can proceed at aura, a little bit deeper would be skin, a little bit deeper would be muscle, a little bit deeper would be bone or organ. But what we want to celebrate is each one of those levels embodies the power from the other 3 levels and allows us to be very elegant and very casual in our procedure. Because if we're not a strong person and Shaq O'Neal just comes in for a session, we can be confident that, okay, we don't have to be strong. We can affect him profoundly working at just the aura level or even just the skin level.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, there's different lessons that we share with the students to give them more confidence in things.
I love that you say that, because of course a lot of students are concerned about if a big person comes in and, do I have to hurt myself in order to make something effective? And, I think it comes back to what we were talking about here, love, if you come from that place and you just work with that expansion internally, whatever depth, whatever way you end up touching, and like you even said, the 3-inch, exploring 3 inches of space. Well, it doesn't have to mean just 3 inches on the body. It can mean depth too. If this is as far as I can go, but I can give my full awareness, my full love into that, then it's going to be as effective as anything, if not more.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're really celebrating, aren't we? We're celebrating this art.
Yeah. Well, a good place to wrap up. So just want to wish you both so well and continued greatness on this journey, and just keep spreading the metta and sharing this art and your art with all the good people that you are. And I'm so excited for you. And Moscow and all the other places that you go to. I know it's part of the beauty of this. It really does travel well. So.
Yeah, thank you, Cheyenne. You'll be in our prayers also. Thank you for what you're doing with this art also. I'm sure the whole lineage of Thai and Tibetan and Hindu gods are all behind us. I feel that.
Oh, wow. Feel that too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.